It has an autosave feature? Who knew? Me, apparently, because I did something horribly wrong last time. And I really needed that autosave feature. I did a little in my personal game off screen, so I've got to actually do this. I've got to actually use the load game function. Ah, terrible. How could I have done such a thing? Shum sweet! Woohoo! Alright. I still can't quite believe what just happened. I know. I inquired with the bailiff after the court session was adjourned. And it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to hospital to recover. Oh, poor guy. Right. Oh yeah, because he fainted. 10 years ago now, Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out of the window of the prison governor's office. But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind. Which is, not fun, frankly. It's not a fun thing to have happened. Nobody knew his secret. Not his family, not even the man himself, but I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark, I wonder? No! Oh, Iris! I feel like that was a you zoned out, I'm trying to get your attention call of the name. You were miles away! Anyway, I've brewed a fresh pot of soothing tea for you. Oh, isn't she sweet? Oh, thank you. You and Susie have had an exhausting day so far, haven't you? Oh, thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is? When we came out of the courtroom back into the defendant's antechamber, he disappeared. Oh, no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, "I must leave." I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of Inspector Gregson's death. Well, you know what Hurley's always saying, don't you? There are mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved. For the construction of a solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else. What does that mean? He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own, too. But he just can't take his own advice and leave well alone. Solving mysteries is too important to him. That's so true. But that's what I like about Hurley, after all. Ugh, love winter. So sniffly. I suppose that's the lot of a great detective in some ways. So then, let's have tea, and then I'll give you a hand. Oh, do you have time, Iris? Yes, I've finished this month's manuscript at last, with barely a day to spare before the deadline. Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. You know, I always hide Hurley's violin in the days before I have a deadline. You you do? Poor Mr. Sholmes. She needs to focus! I mean, I listen to music to help me focus, but different people, right? I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you. Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue our investigation. Ooh, options. This morning's trial. So, how did it go in court this morning? Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing's increasingly clear. Lord Van Zykes definitely didn't do it. Oh, goody! Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well. Oh, really? And there was another development too. Kazuma. Yes, it's quite clear now that Kazuma-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed. I know, I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent. What's going on in his head, I wonder? I really need to sit down with Kazuma and try to understand what he's going through. Because we know that Van Zykes is innocent. I know last time it was like Van Zeeks. I'm not pronouncing it Van Zeeks. Fight me. It's Van Zykes. If Gregson was really murdered the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Van Zykes has to be innocent, you see. What? The day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out, just by examining the corpse, surely. Yes, you would expect so, but curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report. That is curious. There are still unanswered questions about Lord Van Zykes, though, aren't there? Do you mean... I mean, what was he doing there on Fresno Street that day in the first place? Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he? And it turns out that little room was actually the inspector's secret office. Oh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot. But then, why was that notice board in there covered in all those particular papers? Papers about cases with a link to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about all this. Oh dear, that sounds more like something horribly devilish. We must start by looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late. I never imagined I might have to be investigating an inspector's movements. Well, according to the entry in his diary, he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League the day before his death. Oh, you mean he was doing the same as Hurley? Well, Mr. Sholmes was trying to apply, whereas the inspector was supposed to be investigating. I do wish it had been the other way around. Anyway, as it turns out, the inspector who went to investigate the Red-Headed League that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil, in possession of Gregson's identification. You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi. My. Yes, you're absolutely right, Iris. But why would Gregson need an alibi? would appear that the inspector had something to do that he wished to keep secret. I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips. But perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar. That is both deep and really, really fucking goofy. I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies. Well, anyway, if Lord Van Zykes felt the need to investigate Gregson... Yes, I agree. We must try and find out what he knows. Is Mr. Vigil okay? Vigil, you say? Isn't that the name of the lady who came to visit Hurley yesterday? That's right, to ask Mr. Sholmes if he would help her to find her missing husband. Only Mr. Sholmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to hospital? Do you know which one? Ah, it's St. Sinners, because of course it is. Starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down. But that's amazing, Runo. You found the lady's husband already? Well, I suppose I have. By accident. And 10 years ago, while Mr. Vigil was the chief warder at the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration. So, when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed. Oh, sometimes I really don't want to grow up. There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson to be his stand-in, to impersonate the inspector. To impersonate Gregsy? But why? I have absolutely no idea. Ginny was right. Starting to think that all adults are up to no good now. Including you, Runo. I'm offended. I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me. That means he has ties to the professor and to Inspector Gregson, though. So I do think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you? Back to St. Sinners, then. Well, we should check on our client first. I forgot the word client. Don't judge. Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let us investigate, my dear fellows. Oh, Iris! You're even more enthusiastic than usual today. If anyone has anything to hide, my special Wilson shooting iron will set 'em straight. That water pistol? Stuffed full of a piping hot extra special blend of mine. Then I'm quite sure it will be very effective. I'd better be careful not to hide anything. I keep forgetting Iris is 10. Right? 10? Yeah. I keep forgetting she is 10. Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen, but still. Let's go and see what we can find out. Yes! Let's check on our client. Good book? Lord Van Zykes is reading. Look. He doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does he? But he must have noticed that we're here, surely. Especially since we're talking. What do you Neepanese want? It's no way to greet the lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it? Perhaps not. I apologize. So, what can I do for you, Mr. Naruhodo? Lord Van Zyk's speaking earnestly. Oh, the fog will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow. Why are you two making fun of him? This does feel very, very strange. I must say I was impressed. Oh, well, thank you. Not by you, by your fellow Neepanese, your prosecutor friend. Oh, I see. Yes. It's sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing of the Neepanese, to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose it's retribution for having played the part of the Reaper all these years. Played the part. You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you were the Reaper, because it helped reduce the amount of serious crime that took place in London. If keeping quiet and playing the part benefits the cause, a cause I myself am committed to pursuing, then why would I choose to say anything? But the henchman of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day. And that was just the most recent of many attempts on your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all of this. Someone is using you. Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I've been doing my utmost to expose him. Or rather, expose the organization. It's a whole organization. It's inconceivable that all those accidents were orchestrated by one man. No, the Reaper always appears to have very accurate information about the accused in each case. Which can only mean that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved. Which is generally not a good thing. You can't mean... It's taken me many years, but I've finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization. Tobias Gregson. No! Gregson? The Reaper. A member of the Reaper. A limb of the Reaper, if you will. So, the reason you were investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper? As I said, the Reaper of the Bailey is no single person. It's a highly secret organization with close ties to Scotland Yard. But there's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization. I don't believe him. Are you saying that that he was behind all those awful criminals meeting there? Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself. He was the tactician. His job was to covertly... Why did I say... I'm going with it. Investigate the marks and plot their assassinations. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi. Which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector. Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there for briefings. So we don't actually know who carried out the killings, then. Actually, I do have a name. You what? Well, if you can name the man, you have the true identity of the Reaper already, then. Or, if I can name the woman. She's a young woman by the name of Asa Shin. Oh, okay. I didn't connect it the first time I heard that name. Okay, yeah, she would do assassinations, wouldn't she? Wait, what? Shin? Miss Asa Shin. Shin. The true name of a terrifying killer I know only too well. Okay, I'm sorry. Was John H. Wilson accused of something? And, like, went on trial? She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson. Then, just when it seemed the diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan and conviction, the mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut. And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Bailey? Mr. Naruhodo, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss... No, of course not. We can't mention it here. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson. Yeah, this is not the time nor the place. Because Iris doesn't know, and it's very likely that the man was her father. Asa Shin. I should let father know at once. Yes, I agree. Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Osogi. You say he's a friend of yours. My best friend. He's the whole reason I got to come to Britain. It was all on his merits. I have nothing but respect for him. Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. And I had a fine demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father. Genshin Asogi, the professor. It's true that the aristocracy at the time was the root of numerous grave societal problems. They were abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics, in economics, in war. In many ways, Asogi was carving out a canker from society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves. Huh, I see. But that's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Van Zykes was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did that damned Nipponese have to go and take my brother's life? In spite of having once saved mine. He saved your life? How did that happen? It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. Of course it was foggy. What was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic through the capital. So Clint Van Zykes had already been killed at this point then. Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at that point I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden, "Don't make a peep! You're coming with us!" We were surrounded. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him. They had no sympathy for his younger brother either. I'd been targeted several times before already. "Yeah, it's Van Zykes all right. We've got him." I could hear them murmuring amongst themselves. I knew they were after me. But just when I thought my time had come, "If I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me." It was Asogi's voice, just a whisper in my ear. After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me. 2 days later, they arrested him on suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever, the Professor. How awful for you. All at once, I lost the brother I revered and the foreign friend I held in such high regard. I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zykes. That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone. Well, thank you for confiding in me. The Professor, the Reaper, and Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are. I still can't quite believe that Gregson was essentially the Reaper, giving assassination orders to Giselle Bretz. "Mr. Naruhodo, let's go and inform my father. I'm sure our government will want to know about this new information." "Oh, that means I get to meet your daddy, Susie! Hooray!" "Yes, all right. Let's head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then." Yes, I am following, like, a walkthrough on where to go. It's telling me to go to the hotel, but I'm going here. Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. No arguments, Prosecutor Asogi. You will continue with the trial exactly as I instructed. Is that clear? Perfectly. It's Kazuma-sama. Defying Lord Strongheart by the sound of it. He never did know when to back down. On your way now, Asogi. My lord. Hi. Kazuma. Oh. No talking, I suppose. He left without saying a word. Hi. Do you have time? Yes? What are you doing here? Oh, well, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. I wanted Van Zykes' trial concluded today. But Prosecutor Asogi's unwelcome inquiries are going to make it take longer than necessary. Unwelcome inquiries? As a result, I'm losing even more precious time. Currently 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 41 seconds. 42, 43. Then we must resolve everything before 3 hours have passed, Mr. Naruhodo. In a miraculous not even 5 minutes. Anyway, I can't let the man's obvious bad mood put me off. I need information! Does Prosecutor Asogi believe that Lord Van Zykes is the Reaper? I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago, in that fateful closed trial, that Lord Van Zykes made a name for himself among the judiciary. But the next trial he fought, he lost. Meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress. That's awful! The man's freedom was short-lived. He lasted just 3 days. Yes, let me see. He died in a rock slide at his place of work, I believe. Where did he work? The mines? Correct. That was the inauguration of the Reaper of the Bailey. And people believed Lord Van Zykes was responsible? He was brought to trial himself, but it was shown to have been an accident. So he must have had a solid alibi then. Nevertheless, the mysterious deaths continued. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances, ostensibly at the hand of the Reaper. That's a long run of coincidences. Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial. And the impact that revelation would have on the British public cannot be understated. Is that why it's a closed trial? Precisely. Let's chat more on that topic, huh? This country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years. So the last one was the professors? The trial of Genshin Asogi? Correct. Actually, we heard that originally you were going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Strongheart. Van Zykes entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. And here we are, 10 years later, with the son of the man Van Zykes had condemned now looking to avenge his father's death in the same way. They do say what goes around comes around. However, it would seem that the new young prosecutor is harboring some sort of ulterior motive as well. Kazuma is? I like my organization to run smoothly, in the exact manner I prescribe. As with the giant clock in here, I won't tolerate a single cog being out of step with the others. Ah, so that's what all those gears are about in here. If the young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine, I will be forced to take steps. What do you mean? Not something with which you need concern yourself. In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow. Now, I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of this moment, I've been delayed from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours. Oh my, that is a long time. And I hold you entirely responsible. Even though we miraculously managed to fit everything into not even 5 minutes. I wonder if you might agree to us, talking with Prosecutor Asogi? Discussions between the defense and the prosecution outside of the courtroom are generally frowned upon. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go. You can find him in his office. Oh, thank you. Suppose that's where we're going. Let's go see him at once, Mr. Naruhodo. Kazuma's my best friend in the world, but I'm really not at all sure I know how to talk to him at the moment. So, this is the office of Prosecutor Asogi now, is it? Kazuma-sama is doing so well for himself. Even though he's always forced to kneel on the floor Japanese style in the dark corner. It's his habit to sit Seiza style whenever he's working. There he is. Kazuma? Hi. Hello. We wanted to talk to you. I thought it wouldn't be long before you paid me a visit, Ryunosuke. I was right about what I said, wasn't I? Sorry? That you have all the makings of a great defense lawyer. Well, I always believed that you'd fulfill your dream of advocating in the British courts. I just never imagined for 1 second it would be as a prosecutor. Seeing you stand in a foreign courtroom so gallantly, realizing your dream, Kazuma-sama. I'm truly happy for you. And I am truly thankful to you, Judicial Assistant Mikotoba. Ryunosuke, I always thought it would be fun for you and I to shake up the British legal system a little together. This isn't quite how I envisaged it, but I suppose it's just another twist of fate. I've learnt a lot of things during my time in London. About how Susato-san's father was himself a visiting student here once, along with Judge Jigoku. And about what happened with your father. Then you'll have no difficulty understanding why I had no choice. Why I had to find a way to get to Britain as a visiting student myself. I want to hear it from you, Kazuma. As you wish, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. It's getting on for a year now, since what happened on the SS Burya. We were heading across the oceans from Japan to Great Britain. When a bizarre series of... Serious? I'm gonna call that a typo. When a bizarre series of coincidences led to those tragic events. I thought I'd lost my best friend forever. I must have been unconscious for a long time. When I awoke, I was lying on a bed. It was a narrow little room. There was a posy of flowers by the pillow. Took me a little while to realize I was in the cabin of a ship. I slipped out of the room and headed up onto the deck. Were you already suffering from amnesia at that point? Yes, I didn't know what had happened or where I was. It was just this voice in my head. You have something you have to do. Something no one else can know about. Go to Great Britain. Your task awaits you there. It was a calling I couldn't ignore. It compelled me relentlessly. Out on deck, I saw that I was on a huge steamship and we were docked in a large port. Must have been Hong Kong. Yes, must have been. Presumably just before they were due to carry your body off the ship. I had no idea of the situation, but I did have the feeling that this was in some way my last chance. So I concealed myself among the disembarking passengers and went ashore. Then I disappeared into the crowded streets of that foreign port city, so I could plan my onward journey to Great Britain. Just under a year ago, with all my past memories lost to me, I was left behind in Hong Kong. Everything was foreign to me. The sights, the sounds, the smells. My head reeled. I was truly at a loss. I realized now that I'd escaped as a dead man, with nothing but the clothes on my back. No money, of course. Oh, how terrifying for you. Luckily, though, I had 2 feathers in my cap. One being your knowledge of English, I suppose. That's right. And on the back of that, I was able to pick up some work as a deckhand on a cargo ship. Eventually, after calling at countless ports, I finally arrived at Dover. Must have been some 3 months ago now? Your formidable tenacity of purpose showing itself again. I mean, the man had lost his memory and had literally nothing to his name, but he still managed to make his way to London on the opposite side of the world. Of course, I had no idea why I'd moved heaven and earth to get here at that point. So, how did you end up becoming Lord Van Zykes' apprentice then? That can only be called an extraordinary stroke of luck, really. You see, I was stopped at the border because I had no papers. They took me straight to Scotland Yard. And by sheer coincidence, Lord Strongheart was there to attend a meeting. That's when the second feather in my cap came into play. Would that have been your knowledge of the law? Yes, exactly. Lord Strongheart was curious about an Easterner with intimate knowledge of British law. He took me back with him to the Supreme Court and assigned me to the prosecutor's office. And then 9 days ago, you finally got your memory back after the trial involving Drebber. Yes, I did. Sorry to drag stuff up, but let's talk about your dad. Ever since I first met you at Yume, you talked about your dream. Mark my words, Ryunosuke, I'll be chosen as a visiting student and make my way to Great Britain someday. Did you know the entire time about what happened to your father here? 16 years ago. Oh, little Kazuma. That's so cute. When my father left on that exciting trip to Great Britain, I was just a boy. We took a photograph together the day before his departure. It's my last memory of him. But what I remember most about my father is his unswerving sense of justice. 6 years after he left, a gentleman called at our family home. He told me that Genshin, my father, had been taken ill in England and passed away. It was Professor Mikatoba, your father, Susato-san. Oh my. Ever since then, the professor was very good to me. He even helped to fund my university education at Yume. I'll be forever in his debt. But nevertheless, I just couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd told me. Oh. Then one day, a letter arrived at our house from Britain. There was no indication of the sender, so I opened it, assuming it was from an old acquaintance of my father. What I read in that letter changed my entire life. What did it say? It said that my father had been a mass murderer, and the writer cursed the Asogi name. Oh no! As a result of that letter, I found out what had been hidden from me all those years. Presumably, the letter was sent from a relative of one of the victims. If whoever it was had been a member of the judiciary, he could have been present at the closed trial. The letter revealed that my father had been sentenced to death, executed for being a killer. I'm so sorry you had to find out that way. I imagine the British government did its very best to silence whoever sent that letter. But someone who knew the truth and couldn't bear the resentment was always going to be a problem. But still, it could have been written by anyone. Why would you believe such a thing? There was a newspaper cutting included with the letter. It was the first I'd ever heard of the professor and his terrible killing spree. Well, what did my father have to say about the letter? I couldn't bring myself to show it to him. What? Why not? Because he deliberately concealed the truth from me by telling me my father was taken by a fatal illness. Fatal illness called a gun. That couldn't have been easy for him, and he'd done it out of consideration for my feelings. So instead, I showed the letter to Judge Jikoku. Oh, to the other visiting student. He faltered for the briefest of moments, but then he just laughed the letter off. But in that moment, I saw it on his face. He was undeniably shocked, shaken momentarily, before recovering his poise. A year later, my bereaved mother succumbed to the strain of grief, and she too passed away. That's when I made up my mind that one day, without fail, I would cross the seas to Britain and seek the truth for myself. The truth about my father, Genshin Asogi. And I wouldn't let anyone stand in my way. Oh, Kazuma-sama? What we learned today in court turned things completely on their head. It was an impressive piece of lawyering, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Why are you full-naming me? It makes me uncomfortable. Lord Van Zykes isn't the Reaper, you know. I almost don't want to believe it myself, but it turns out that Inspector Gregson himself, the victim, was. It's clear the Inspector was behind the Reaper's activity all along. What? You mean you knew? The real question is, who's been giving orders to the Inspector? Yes, Barok Van Zykes is the real Reaper. I don't believe he is. And I know that 10 years ago it was him who decided my father must be a mass murderer and sent him to his grave. No, he was merely seeing that justice was done as the law dictates. He's not to blame. I think Lord Strongheart is the problem. That's my opinion. Ultimately, it's people who condemn people. The law is just a tool that they use to do it. And when a man condemns another, he must take responsibility for his actions. Of course he must. But I know for certain that my father would never have taken another man's life. Kazuma. On the contrary, my father's life was taken by the Reaper. Game's asking me to present that, or the... I'm presenting it. This came up in the trial, didn't it? As something a little dubious, I mean. The fact that no time of death was recorded on Inspector Gregson's autopsy report. Yes, there were some unexpected turns in the courtroom earlier. The suggestion you came up with certainly took everyone by surprise. The idea that the victim died the previous day at some other location is quite something. Can't tell if that's a compliment or an insult. The bottle is going to freak out temporarily. Don't be concerned. Some liquid because I'm talking too much. Not that it's too much, it's the right amount of talking. Well, considering when the pocket watch had stopped and the scorch marks on the candle, it's certainly a distinct possibility. The evidence and the scene both point to it. To be honest, it bothered me too. So I will paid a visit to the autopsy room earlier. You know, picking something up isn't really a working thing when you knock it over instead. Don't mind me. These papers weren't super important. It's fine, don't worry about it. Paid a visit to the autopsy room. The coroner responsible wasn't there, but I got a name. It's Dr. Gory. If it wouldn't trouble you, Kazuma-sama, we'd very much like to speak to the coroner too. Of course, the last thing I want is for anything to be brushed under the carpet. Scotland Yard Autopsy Laboratory is behind Lowgate Cemetery. Lowgate Cemetery? By Barclay Prison, you mean? Ah, you know it, do you? The prison where my father was incarcerated and robbed of his life. Kazuma-sama. Well, thank you. We'll pay a visit to the laboratory later today. Ryunosuke, I want to thank you. What for? For this. You safeguarded the soul of the Asogi clan. Well, it is a famous sword that's been in your family for generations. My only slight regret is I never got the chance to draw it before I returned it to you. Karuma is said to have been forged by a master swordsmith during the Sengoku Warring States period. I come from a long lineage of warriors, many of whom were expert swordsmen. Well then, you're a chip off the old block, I'd say. This blade, Karuma, is the symbol of the Asogi clan's honor and might. Ooh, fancy. Apparently one of my father's apprentices even took the blade's name for a surname. Really? Karuma? It does sound formidable, that's for sure. "16 years ago, when my father was a visiting student here in London, he had this sword forever at his side. Which is why it means so much to me that I have it by my side again now, too. And that is all thanks to you. Incredibly technically, it's thanks to Susato going, oh, please take it with you. It would mean so much to me. It was an honor. Now, I have preparations to make for tomorrow. Perhaps I said a little too much. Kazuma, you've changed. No, Ryunosuke, I haven't changed at all. It's you who's changed. I can completely understand your resentment of Lord Van Zykes given what happened. But the fact is, those events and this case are, well, unrelated? Is that what you want to say? How can you be so sure? What do you mean? Never mind. That man is the Reaper, and it's for that reason that the inspector was killed. I'm going to prove as much in court tomorrow, by whatever means necessary. I can't let you do that, Kazuma. I know you'll do what you have to as a lawyer, but I'm sure I don't need to tell you that I won't be taking any prisoners in the courtroom. I would expect nothing less. Until tomorrow, then, in the Old Bailey. Doo-ba-doo. I was told to go here, so I am going here. I thought it yesterday, and I think it again today. This place is so princely. It's a wild guess, but I have a feeling you'll think the same thing tomorrow, too. My tea has a finer fragrance than whatever they're serving in the tea room here, though, wouldn't you say? Ah, look who we have here. This is an unexpected pleasure. Ah, Father. Oh, is this your daddy, Susie? How lovely. We've startled him. At least Iris has. What a charming young lady. And you are? Really? So you're the author of The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, are you? That's me, Iris Wilson, at your service, sir. Susie's been such a wonderful friend to me over the last year, you know. Well, Miss Wilson, I must say I read your work regularly and with much interest. Iris actually lives with Mr. Sholmes, you know, Father. Is that so? Well, perhaps that goes some way to explaining that bright look in your eyes. You wouldn't be smiling so airily if you knew just how bright she is, believe me. Now then, young Naruhodo, it was a pleasure seeing you in action earlier. As an invitee of the symposium, I was allowed to observe from the gallery, after I twisted some arms. I must say, it was a truly exemplary performance. Oh, well, thank you very much. Although, I'm fairly sure you admitted by Cosima on the end there. No, please, don't misunderstand. It was you who impressed me. Really? You didn't miss a step against Asogi, and we all know how capable he is. Really, to have matured into such a fine defense lawyer in less than a year is quite extraordinary. It's very kind of you to say so. And really nice to hear. What I saw in court today confirmed what I'd been hoping for. The favor I mentioned yesterday, Naruhodo, I trust you haven't forgotten. Oh, no, you did mention something, didn't you? But first, we have something to report, Father. Of course. Shall we take tea while we discuss matters further? I wonder where Judge Jigoku has got to. Well, let's ask about it. I haven't seen Judge Jigoku for a while, have you? But that guilty is still ringing in my ears. No, now you mention it, I haven't seen him since this morning either. I suppose since the symposium's opening was postponed, he'll have gone to explore at the Great Exhibition. That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday. About Judge Jigoku having once been in the dock himself. Ah, yes, it was all tied up with that accursed trial. The closed trial of Cosima's father. Seishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and actually managed to break the witness's stand. He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged. Oh dear, although it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that. Well, it was all right in the end. He was acquitted and we returned home to Japan together. Thank goodness. Ah, yes, talking of Seishiro. I have a copy of the photograph we all took together here yesterday. Please. Oh, what a lovely picture. It certainly seems to shout, "We've arrived in Britain." Yay, picture. None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we? No, that's so true. About the Reaper. Father, do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Bailey? I've heard rumors, Some members of the judiciary explained it all to me yesterday. Of course, when I was a visiting student here in London, the Reaper was yet to emerge. Right. Didn't appear until after that case, when the visiting students had already returned home. Lord Van Zykes, who was in the dock today, that was Barrock, the younger brother of Clint Van Zykes, I believe. That's right, and he's known throughout London as the Reaper, as you've heard, but the truth is, it wasn't him behind all those mysterious deaths. It was somebody else. I see. So what you're saying is there's been a professional killer at work here. Exactly. Someone by the name of Asa Shin, in fact. I beg your pardon? Did you say Asa Shin? You mean that Giselle Brett woman who was responsible for killing my great friend? Oh no, a friend of yours was killed? Professor Mikatoba, I think perhaps we shouldn't discuss this right now. Because the friend the professor's talking about is Dr. John H. Wilson. And that's not something we want Iris to find out about. Not like this, anyway. Ooh. Let's chat about it. Let's dance around the topic. I've just remembered something. Biscuits. This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits. That was rather out of the blue. She's doing this deliberately. I think I'll go and see if I can purchase some. I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris? Oh, yes! You just try to leave me behind. Thank you, Susie. So that young girl is called Iris Wilson, is she? Yes, that's right. And she's the author of all those adventure stories starring the great Detective Sholmes. The name of the credited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, I know. That's the name of her father, you see. Her father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was deeply indebted to the man for all the kindness he showed me during my time in London. That's why I was keen to reciprocate and invite him to the Imperial Ume University 4 years ago. But he was murdered last year by Giselle Brett. Why? Why would the hand of the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? Iris knows nothing about that case, but it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father. Well, I can't say that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not. But I think I can say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner. So it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think? Glasses. I like being able to see. There we go. Well, John and Wilson are both common names after all. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until we can be sure. That's what we thought, yes. We're back with cinnamon biscuits. Ooh, they smell delicious, Iris. I think cinnamon will go very well with the tea they serve here. Don't you, Susie? Yes, I'm sure you're right, Iris. Alright, let's wrap up that topic then. The favor. So, you mentioned a favor that you'd like to ask me. Well, this fateful trial that you're fighting, one way or another, it will be over before long. And when it is, I'd like you to accompany me back to Japan. You want me to do what? Father? What's the meaning of this? Now, Susato, you should understand. You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense. Oh, you mean the Supreme Court of Judicature is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer. As soon as possible. Really, quite urgently, in fact. But, I've not even been in London a year yet. I've read all of Susato's reports. I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents. And having seen you in action with my own eyes earlier today, there's no question. You, Naruhodo, are precisely the man our country needs. So, you'd be leaving then, Runo? But then, what am I supposed to do, Father? You came here to serve as Asogi's judicial assistant. Oh, yeah, she's supposed to be Kazuma's assistant. Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with this situation, though. You've always chosen your own path, Susato, and I trust your judgment. In this matter also. Father! Please, the pair of you, don't look so downcast. It's merely a suggestion, you understand. A hope, if I'm honest. But I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it, and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes. Sorry, I'm looking. No, we're not going back to Japan. I was checking the next chapter on the... And I was just skimmed. I was just like... At like 0.1% of it, I was like, which courtroom? The Old Bailey? We're staying in England. Yes, alright. You won't leave? Will you, Runo? The thought hadn't even crossed my mind. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believed to be Kazuma's will. But it turns out that he's still alive, so... Where does that leave me? Well, you can do your own will. I think. Well, if you'll excuse me now. I need to telegram government ministers and the Japanese police with this information about Asashin. Of course, Father. Thank you. I look forward to next month's installment, Miss Wilson. Oh, good. And please, do come to Baker Street sometime, won't you? We'd love to entertain you. I would be delighted. Best of luck for tomorrow, Naruhodo. And give my suggestion your full consideration, won't you? Yes, I will. Going back home. You know, Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all of this. Yeah, no doubt. Asashin. Of course! It's so obvious! How could I have neglected to consider the possibility before now? Ah! Mr. Sholmes! Detective jump scare! Hurley? Where have you been? Why, I joined you all for tea, of course. What an extraordinary question. I didn't notice you at all. No matter, no matter. Anyway, to more pressing concerns. Mr. Naruhodo! Oh, yes? I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It is a matter of much urgency. To Japan, you mean? Tell me, to whom can I entrust the task? Quickly now, who? Well... My father has just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Police Bureau of Japan himself. I see. Well, he looked reliable enough for a bearded fellow. Does Professor Mikitoba have a beard? He has a mustache, not a beard. I don't think what Father sports could be considered a beard, Mr. Sholmes. There's not a moment to lose. Kindly ask your trusty unshaven father to see this is sent. You are insulting. I will, but what is it? It's a telegram. Weren't you paying attention? No questions at this time, if you please, Miss Susato. All we can do is pray that for once my deduction is awry. Doesn't that imply that your deductions are normally correct, Mr. Sholmes? Which wasn't exactly... Now then! You may be surprised to learn that I am a very busy man. I certainly have no time to hide behind settees and eavesdrop on other people's conversations. Oh, really? You don't have any time for that then, So that's what joining us for tea meant. I leave the sending of this in your hands then, my dear fellows. Ah, wait, Mr. Sholmes? He just sort of ran off, didn't he? At quite a pace. And left the unpaid bill for his tea behind, too. Well, you're a nuisance. I must catch up with Father at the telegraph office at once. And I'll run and call us a cab straight away. And there was me thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Sholmes' bill. This place really is creepy, isn't it? Well, being a dead room, it's probably full of the spirits of the dissected. But actually, there's a rather pleasing scent of roses in the air. Well, being a dead room, the coroner probably needs a bold scent like that to mask the odor of death. Iris, do you think we could change the subject? Oh, fun. There's noises. What? What was that? Ah, Dr. Gory? What? That noise before. I was sharpening my tools. I'd be dead meat if I didn't keep a perfectly keen edge on them. Right. When following the collagen fibers in the dermis, an expertly sharpened scalpel cuts like cheese. Would you like a demonstration? No. Oh, yes, please. I'd love to see. Then I think you'll do nicely. Huh? No, I wouldn't do nicely at all. I mean, maybe some other time. Was that a tut? Well, we came here to ask questions, so... What was it? Mariah Gory. Maria? Maria. It doesn't have the H. Maria Gory. We have actually met before. I'm a lawyer, if you remember. You're not dead yet. What? So Mama said I wasn't to cut you open. She's so strict about things like that. Well, good. Dr. Scythe has some scruples, at least. Oh dear. Looks like she's not interested in talking to us. For the time being, anyway. For the time being? You mean until we die? I hope that's a ways off. You are unsettling. Sorry, but I wasn't planning on dying anytime soon. Surely there's some less drastic way of making her listen. Yeah, not to be confused with Mariah Carey. So, Maria is better, because then it won't be confused. So, why is there no time of death on this? Dr. Gory, we actually came here to ask you about this. He was very good. Good? Sorry? His skin didn't snag my blade once, and very little mess. His joints dislocated easily, and his muscle tissue was a pleasure to work with. We can skip those details. But there is one thing about the report that's caught my attention. You don't seem to have recorded a time of death. That's not my fault. Okay, I feel much better now that you took the mask off. That really helps you be slightly less creepy. The tiniest amount less creepy. You have fantastic goth makeup, though, I must say. Oh, that made me jump. Then, please, tell us what happened. See, the knives don't help, but the mask was really, like, off-putting. So, why doesn't this autopsy include the victim's time of death, then? It's really the most crucial detail. Oh, no, the mask is back. I was told not to write it. What? By whom? Miles Strongheart, the Lord Chief Justice. He came here. Lord Strongheart came... He said that from the witness statements about the gunshot and the other evidence, it was obvious. The man clearly died at 5 p.m. on the 1st of November when the gunshot was heard. But that's not the time of death you wrote on the report. You didn't write anything. Was there some reason you didn't include it? Dr. Gorey, if you're hiding something under Lord Strongheart's instructions, then sooner or later you're going to go through the same way as your mother. Give it here, then. What's she scribbling so furiously? There. You've written... What's she written? Tell us! Indeterminate. But... What do you mean by that? Why was the time of death indeterminate? When the specimen was brought in, it was still fresh. So the time of death could easily have coincided with when the gunshot was heard. The specimen? But there was one small discrepancy. What discrepancy? There was some fried fish in the pocket of the specimen's overcoat. And that fish had started to rot. What? If the victim liked fried fish, he presumably liked to eat it before it went off. Well, yes. What are you really trying to say? It's possible that someone tried to manipulate the apparent time of death. Manipulate the... Is that even possible to do? Theoretically, if you were to chill the body in ice, you could delay the onset of putrefaction. And if the overcoat wasn't on the body at the time, then only the fish would have started to rot. With today's science, it's not yet possible to determine if the body was chilled or not. But today's science is advanced enough to let you freeze a corpse, it seems. But surely, to chill a corpse like that would require an enormous electrical refrigerator. And I don't imagine many households in London are equipped with such a device. No, definitely not. But maybe in a factory? Or some other special places? I don't recall seeing any factories or such like on Fresno Street, though. I wonder, if the inspector's body had been chilled somehow, what might the actual time of death have been? See, that's the mystery! I couldn't say for sure. But at the most, it might have been a day earlier. In other words, it would corroborate your previous deduction, Mr. Naruhodo. That Inspector Gregson was killed a day before his body was discovered, at a different location. Did you inform Lord Strongheart of this possibility? He simply said that there were no electrical refrigerators of that size in the vicinity. If you don't mind, then. Sorry? She's going back to sharpening her tools. Wow, I said that before the dialogue said it. Not now, or my baby here might start to rust. I think perhaps we'd better leave Dr. Gorey alone. Maybe we could try again if we manage to find more clues. Alright. Let's talk to Mr. Vigil then. This is the ward where Mr. Vigil was brought, apparently. To be frank, I'm a little worried about seeing him again. Ah, the lawyer. Hello again. Are you feeling better now, Mr. Vigil? Yes, thank you. Somewhat better. So sorry to have caused you to... I mean, it was because of me. If I hadn't exposed your secret and forced you to remember things you'd obviously tried to forget. The prosecutor was here until a few moments ago, too. You just missed him. Oh, Cosimo beat us to it. He said much the same as you. He was very apologetic. But the truth is, I brought all of this upon myself. Please, don't think like that. Keeping it from Evie, my wife, all these years, I've carried such a sense of guilt. But that's not the worst of it. Over time, I obviously came to deceive myself as well. You mean about your dismissal? Looking back now, I'm beginning to think that perhaps Inspector Gregson didn't stumble across me by accident at all. I mean, he compensated me so generously for acting as his stand-in. He was clearly concerned for my well-being and doing what he could to help. So perhaps Gregson knew exactly what had become of Mr. Vigil all along, then. I'm sure this is just desserts for 10 years of lies and deception, but... It wasn't me that helped the professor escape 10 years ago! It wasn't me! I swear it! I swear it's true! Oh, Mr. Vigil. I'm sure you'd rather not dredge up even more from your past at this time, but... if possible, could you tell us exactly what really happened? I want to. I need to get all this off my chest. I just want someone to tell me what I should have done. Alright, let's chat. Gregson's request. Inspector Gregson was obviously engaged in a special operation of some sort. He was investigating something that even Scotland Yard couldn't know about. Details of the Reaper's marks, yes. It was when he had to carry out those investigations that I would take his identification and impersonate him. You'd pretend to be the inspector and carry out investigations on his behalf. Oh, no, never! A common street peddler couldn't possibly carry out a proper police investigation. All I would do is go to the specified location and make a little hoo-ha. Just something to leave an impression, so everybody there would think a detective called Gregson was here. So that's what you were doing on the day prior to the incident. Yes, he asked me to make an appearance at the park on Lime Street for the Red-Headed League event. So, as usual, I flashed the inspector's identification around and was very vocal about my presence. But then you were taken prisoner by those red-headed fraudsters. Yes, so you would always make a point of showing Gregson's identification and generally being loud? That's what the inspector asked me to do, yes. Well, that's one way of becoming a legendary detective, I suppose. Not a good one, though. And as you know, I suffered this bruising around my neck at their hands. But the following day, they kept their word and released me. Without returning the inspector's identification to you, however. We had arranged to meet in the Fresno Street room at 5 that day so I could report back to the inspector. But at the agreed time, that's when I heard the gunshot. The prison escape. It was at midnight on the 17th of June, 10 years ago. That was the time scheduled for the execution. But the professor's execution never actually took place, did it? Or rather, the execution itself must have been used to effect the plan of escape. I hardly dare to imagine what a chilling plan it was. Barclay was renowned for being the highest security prison in the country. Everything that went in or out of the place was searched multiple times. But there was one notable exception. Or rather, one notable loophole. Something that was never questioned. I have a feeling I know what that loophole was now. The coffins into which the bodies of the executed convicts were placed. Correct? Yes. Once the coroner had confirmed the death of a condemned convict, the body was taken in its coffin for immediate burial in Lowgate Cemetery just behind the prison. The chief warder first had to sign the necessary papers. And after that, no member of staff was permitted to touch the coffin containing the body again. Is that actually a... Ooh, that's an uncomfortable way to hold your hand. My guy. It is physically possible, it's just really uncomfortable. When executions took place, only the executioner and the coroner were permitted inside the chamber. I would wait in the adjacent room for word that the condemned convict was dead. Oh, so you accidentally helped him escape. It was more the executioner who was in on it than... On that occasion, once I had that confirmation, I went into the mortuary to find a lone coffin, as usual. The procedure was that I would sign the paperwork having checked the coffin, then nail it shut. But for some reason that day, the coffin was already nailed shut. No! I didn't think anything of it at the time. I assumed that my deputy must have checked the coffin and nailed it shut before I arrived. So you mean the coffin contained... Yes, I can only imagine that Asogi, having escaped his execution somehow, was alive inside the coffin. The coffin was then taken out through the main gates and deposited in Lowgate Cemetery. Deposited? You're making it sound like a bank. Presumably there wouldn't have been enough air inside to breathe for long. So in the early hours following the burial, somebody dug up the coffin again to set Genshin free. But in the end, he was fatally shot in the graveyard anyway. What on earth really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night, I wonder? I'm afraid I really don't know. All I can say with certainty are two things. Asogi couldn't possibly have escaped that way without help from somebody working in the prison. And that somebody was not me. Obviously, you knew the man then. The professor, I mean. Genshin Asogi. Yes, I remember him very well, in fact. Would you mind telling us what you know? Well, having been condemned to death as he was, any contact I had with the man was short, obviously. After that trial, which was carried out behind closed doors, attended only by elite members of the judiciary, they called for his execution to be carried out at the earliest possible opportunity. The outcome of the trial was set from the beginning, wasn't it? It was a time of delicate diplomacy when Britain and Japan were in the process of signing an important treaty. That meant that this potentially destabilizing case had to be dealt with swiftly and discreetly. The man had less than a week in total. As I was the chief warder, I oversaw his short stay in his cells until his final hour. I remember being struck deeply by his noble character and incredible resilience. What do you mean exactly? He was a killer of many men, but he was always quiet and polite. He was a gentleman and a man of intellect. In fact, I couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd done, so I asked him one day. Those 5 members of the aristocracy whose lives were taken, were you really responsible? I'm guilty of the unforgivable crime of ending another human's life. Yes. That's vague, actually. That's vague as fuck. The following day, the closed trial took place, and the verdict was no surprise. Guilty. That night, when he was brought back to his cell, I saw something. Something unusual. Something unusual? What? The last will and testament of Genshin Asogi. Give me the spill of the tea. As I said, it was on the night following his trial after he'd been found guilty. I was doing the rounds of the cells, and when I looked into Asogi's, I noticed that he seemed to have a sheet of paper in his hand. His last will and testament, then, presumably. As soon as he noticed me, he hurriedly shoved it behind his back. But why did you find that so unusual? Isn't it normal for a man to pen a will when he knows his death is nigh? Yes, that's true, but there were special conditions to Asogi's incarceration, you see. What sort of conditions? Well, even though he was held in a cell designed for condemned inmates, he was allowed to keep his personal effects with him, with one exception. Really? He was allowed his things? That is unusual, certainly. Was the exception the sword? Of course, he'd been convicted of killing 5 members of the aristocracy, but at the same time, he was a guest in our country from the Empire of Japan. The powers that be were determined that his final days shouldn't be needlessly uncomfortable. And what was the exception you mentioned to the personal effects he was allowed? That's the point. He wasn't permitted to have writing materials. They let him have his sword? Or did he give the sword to, like, Professor Mikatoba or something? Specifically, no pens or paper. Okay, that feels conspiracy. That feels like super conspiracy. Wildly conspiracy. He's not allowed to have a pen or paper? He's not allowed to, like, write letters to his fucking son? He's not allowed to make a will? Gosh. So he was prevented from leaving any written record of what had happened to him. Yes, that was the long and short of it. I've no idea where he obtained that paper. Any writing materials would have been confiscated from him upon his incarceration. As I said, he hid the paper behind his back, and then he pleaded with me. What did you just hide behind your back? Please, please, turn a blind eye. This is my lifeline. But you know it's against the rules. You're the only person who's seen. If you just agree to keep quiet. All right, then. But what's on that paper? A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now. How can a will be a weapon? Well, if you flick someone hard enough with the edge of a piece of paper, uh, I'm kidding. So I decided to pretend I'd seen nothing, and I let him keep his will. But then later, it just seemed to vanish without trace. What? What do you mean it vanished? Would seem that isn't the end of the story of this mysterious will. I was the only person who saw Asogi's will, but somehow it disappeared. Something in my eye. If it was after Asogi's execution, which was actually an elaborate jailbreak. The warders gathered up Asogi's possessions that were in his cell, and the will was not one of them. They were all to be sent back to his family home in Japan, you see. To poor Kazuma-sama. And you're saying that it wasn't anywhere to be found among his personal effects? The will, I mean. That's right, though I didn't search through them myself. But Governor Caden was livid. He was screaming, "It can have disappeared completely!" That doesn't quite make sense, though, does it? In what way? Well, we'd understood that only Mr. Vigil was aware of the will's existence. In which case, how did the prison governor know to look for it? Oh, yes, you're right. I really feel like that smack sound effect is just Ryunosuke face palming. I really don't know how he knew, but it certainly seemed as though he knew of the will's existence from the outset. Is it possible that he is the one that gave Genshin the paper to write the will? Is it possible? Only he didn't refer to it as a will. What he said was the Asogi papers. The Asogi papers. I really can't tell you anything about the subsequent events. Because, well, of what happened. Your dismissal and the way you blocked it all from your memory. I'd forgotten all this until today. I don't suppose it's relevant to the case, though. Well, anyway, thank you very much for sharing it with us, Mr. Vigil. We're very grateful. Contact your wife. I'm afraid there's really little more I can tell you. My wife Evie will be here shortly, so I do hope I don't appear rude, but... What did I just say about contacting your wife? I'm happy for you. No, not at all. Thank you again. But what will become of you now? Well, impersonating a police officer is a criminal offense, of course. I imagine that once I'm fully recovered, I shall be arrested. I'm so sorry. Don't be, please. This was all my own doing. I always knew that this day would come. Well, I wish you well. Goodbye, Mr. Vigil. Before you go, there's just one thing. Oh, yes? What is it? The Asogi papers. I'd be very grateful if you'd make no mention of the things I told you about them. Presumably for some good reason. It's my understanding that their very existence is a closely guarded secret. If it became known that I'd remembered, well, it could be rather troublesome, I think. I understand. Some sort of will that Genshin Asogi penned just before his death, which the man himself claimed was his last weapon. I wonder. Perhaps it had something to do with his plan to escape. If there's anyone who might know more about a document that Cosmo's father left behind, it would be Mr. Vigil's governor. Then we know precisely where we must go. Back to Barclay Prison. Let's go have a fun chat with Barry Caden. Oh. Dumbass. Sorry. This one. My brain went, prison! Haha! No. Incorrect. I still love his clock. Hello. Ugh, back again, are ya? Yes. Hello. I've heard all about your investigations. I read the report just now. You found him, eh? Vigil? Yes, luckily. Well, anywho. The laddie doesn't work here no more. So your case is not to do with Barclay. I would nae like you to get the wrong idea about that. Oh, of course, yes. Mr. Vigil stopped working here 10 years ago now, so... Yes, we've seen his dismissal notice, haven't we? He was given the job. You're so cheerful about this. Aye, Kimmer. You can very well. So how about a wee handcuff biscuit? Oh, they really are like little handcuffs. And hard as irons, too. So, what brought you in here today? Well, there's something else we'd like to ask you about, actually. Is that so? We believe there might have been a document that disappeared from Genshin Asogi's cell. I think it's been called the Asogi Papers or something? Ooh. Did I not say? Gregson's death is not to do with things that might have happened at Barclay. Leave the past in the past, laddie. Let's not footer about with irrelevant details. His expressions changed completely. We're clearly on to something here. Oh yeah, and his little jail bar. I did not notice the little jail bar pin. That's fun. That murderer's botched execution and the whole miserable escape. They were Barclay's darkest hour, aye. Shocking embarrassment. Because the convict has a collaborator on the prison staff, you mean? Aye, for shame. The coroner who confirmed the death of the man after his execution, Courtney Scythe. And my chief warder at the time, Vigil, who was in charge of the whole affair. But Mr. Vigil said he didn't know anything about it. The rascal wouldn't I say otherwise, eh? More handcuffs? Oh, how could I say no? You can never have too much iron in your diet. So when Mr. Vigil was handed his dismissal notice as a result of what happened, he was so despairing he jumped out of your office window, didn't he? I didn't like to say, but that's just Vigil trying to get out of it. Do you not think he wouldn't have jumped from the shock of his crimes being exposed, eh? I do. You wouldn't say otherwise, though, would ya? Of course, I can shun all responsibility myself. I shouldn't have let him deceive me. Actually, there's barely anybody that kens what it went on at the time now. With Gregson having been murdered and Dr. Scythe forbidden from having any visitors, No visitors. Someone obviously doesn't want her giving anything away. Well, we're not going home empty-handed. And I wouldn't dream of sending you packing without. Kimmer? Here, take a handcuff or two. Oh, well, it would be rude to say no. Wouldn't want to become anemic. I suppose, if there's anybody who might still ken about what happened back then, it'd be that lass from the forensic division, Maria Gorey. Maria Gorey? Aye, Scythe's daughter. She didn't have no more. Just the one. But the wee bairns followed in her mam's footsteps. You didn't ever see her without a scalpel in her hand. Ah. Mama, what is this? Where did she spring from? And did she just call the doctor Mama? Dr. Scythe's daughter, Maria Gorey. We could do with talking to her. How'd she get a different last name, though? Was she adopted? Was she adopted? So, she's Dr. Scythe's daughter, but her surname is Gorey? Aye, there's some family history, I'm sure, but I didn't ken the ins and outs of it. She grew up watching her mam working with the bodies of folk who'd died in strange circumstances, and decided to do the same with her own life. I can understand it myself. Perhaps she was driven by a deep respect for her mother. Perhaps. Anywho, she was in charge of Gregson's autopsy, I believe. Right, and the coroner responsible for this incomplete report. Someone told me once that the wee lassie always loved her mam's stories about cutting up bodies. There's even a rumor that she used to listen to the funeral march as a lullaby. Well, she does seem very goth. Well, then, perhaps her mother might have told her about the autopsy from the case 10 years ago. Aye, I'd say there's a fighting chance, at least. After all, that was a life-changing case for all of us. We really need to speak to Miss Gorey herself about this, I think. Well, thank you very much. I'm not happy about any part of this. It took years for Londoners to finally forget the whole professor business. Can you not give up on this, laddie? Stop asking pointless questions. Sorry, I don't like dredging up these painful memories for everyone. Can you not just stay away now? Leave me alone and dinna come back here, eh? Tell me about the papers! How'd you come to know about that, laddie? There's not many folks, even here in the prison, who've heard of those papers. Ah, well, I can't tell him Mr. Vigil told me. I'm afraid our sources must remain confidential, sir. We've been led to believe the papers are actually a last will and testament, is that right? The professor's, or rather Genshin Isogi's. Aye, that's right. You're well informed, Jimmy. My name is Ryunosuke. Oh, is that the end of the silent treatment? But then after the convict's execution, it mysteriously vanished from his cell, didn't it? Havers no, you're off at a half-cock there. I think you didn't get your facts straight. It was there in the cell, exactly where it should have been. Ah, not what we heard elsewhere. Let me just have a wee hook around in here. I'm sure I can find it. Aye, here you are. See? The last will and testament of Genshin Isogi, written with a calligraphy brush. course, I can't read a word of those Japanese squiggles. But I mind it says he leaves all his worldly possessions to his son back in his homeland. Yes, that's correct. That's the gist of it. So these are the Asogi papers. Aye, of course they are. Papers written by Asogi. Nae doubt about it. There's no mystery here, laddie. That's not your lot. After all the stramash of that slyster of an execution. Excuse me, you are very Scottish and I need to look up words. I need to look things up. Stramash. Turmoil, a broil, a fray, a fight. Okay. So, the turmoil of that. Of that sloppy execution. Alright. Guy's too Scottish for me, okay? After all that chaos of the sloppy execution, we sent the man's possession back to his clan in Japan, and that was the end of it. I think we ought to make a record of this, Mr. Naruhodo, just in case. Can I read the papers? One thing before you go your way, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Those papers are not to do with Gregson's death. I think I will be the judge of that. I, Genshin Asogi, hereby request that upon my death, any and all material possessions and wealth belonging to me in London be delivered to my son in the Empire, Japan. It is with deep sadness that I accept my fate in this foreign land, in the knowledge I will never see my homeland or my family again, but I regret nothing about my chosen path. Well, that tells me nothing. I'd prefer it if you didn't make no mention of 'em outside this office, or rather, I would nae just prefer it. Consider it an order from the highest levels of our government. I understand. Alright. Doop-a-doo-doo. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. This tells me I'm doing something right. I'm getting a date. Glad you're keeping your tools sharp. Someone's sharpening again. You're still not dead? Anyway, I don't have anything more to tell you about that specimen. Actually, we're not here to ask you about Inspector Gregson. We were hoping to talk about your mother, Dr. Scythe. It's something the governor of Barclay Prison mentioned. He said she was responsible for confirming the death of the professor after his execution. That's not all Mama did. Sorry? My mama carried out the autopsy of Clint Van Zykes as well. What? Really? The brother of Lord Van Zykes, the professor's final victim. The idea of carrying out an autopsy on a member of the aristocracy was completely unthinkable. Stop pushing buttons. But the detective in charge of the investigation insisted, and it was miraculously authorized. What is on my glasses? There's a speck on my glasses. Get out of here. I like being able to see. That detective being Inspector Gregson, of course. Quite an accomplishment for one man. That autopsy proved the vital clue needed to arrest the killer. And Mama was there for that historic event. What does all this mean? You know, that amazing autopsy happened right here in this very room! The professor and Clint Van Zykes. They both spent their final moments before their burial on that dissection table there. So this lab, Mama's lab, was instrumental in some of the country's most important events. She really is proud of her mother. I wonder if you'd tell us more about exactly what happened back then, Dr. Gorey. The professor's execution was Mama's first big case. She had to be in attendance at the Berkeley prison's execution chamber. And sign the certificate to confirm the convict's death. Mama is the best coroner in the world, you know. I was so proud of her. But the execution didn't actually take place. No, and worse still, Mama actually helped with the jailbreak. I didn't want to know. Oh dear, you found out recently, you mean? I believed in her, in Mama, but now I wonder if I'm starting down the same path as her. You mean because you omitted the time of death on this autopsy report? But that's because Lord Strongheart forbade you from including it. Just like Mama. I'm sure she was coerced by somebody too. Yeah, that's my feeling as well. There's no doubt that there were powerful forces at play 10 years ago. The execution couldn't have been staged without a lot of people at the prison knowing about it. Obviously, the prison governor must have been in on it as well. The big man with the little handcuffs? According to what he told us, he was tricked by the chief warder. He says he knew nothing about it. Of course he said that. I'd say the same thing. Who was behind that jailbreak all those years ago? Alright, tell us about Clint. You mentioned the autopsy of Clint Van Zykes. It was at a time when carrying out autopsies of murder victims was very unusual. It's still not a practice that's observed in our country, even now. Turned out that he was the professor's final victim, and when the autopsy was performed, Mama was present, although only as the secondary assistant. The person leading the procedure was called Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right, my daddy. And there was one other person present, the primary assistant. He was a visiting student from the Far East. Wait, a visiting student? It must have been my father, Eugene Mikotoba. No idea Professor Mikotoba had been involved in something so important. But the outcome of that historic autopsy was the discovery of a vital piece of evidence that led to the capture of the professor. So that's how they came to identify Genshin Isogi as the infamous mass murderer. Do you happen to know anything about that piece of evidence? Can you tell us any more? Would you like to see the records for yourself? What? Would that be alright? What's the point of keeping records if people can't look at them? They're filed under V at the back of those cupboards, with the other records from the last decade. Thank you. Let's see. Van Zykes. That's strange. What, Mr. Naruhodo? They aren't here. There's nothing under Van Zykes. There must be! Perhaps somebody took them away. Conspiracy! No, no one's allowed to take documents related to the professor case out of this room. But you're right. They're gone. Well, when was the last time somebody looked at them? Do you remember? It was... Oh, yes, I remember now. It was 2 years ago. A consulting detective came one day saying he'd like to see the records. No, you don't mean... Herlock Sholmes was his name. Deep down, I knew that was coming. Do you think he stole the records? Oh no, surely not. Iris, that can't be right, can it? Oh, she's shocked. That's... Iris? Bruno. I hope you don't mind, but... What is it, Iris? I've just remembered something very important I have to do. I'm going to have to leave you now. Oh, this is very sudden, Iris. Well, we'll come with you then. Oh, no. There's no need. You and Bruno can take your time here. Bye for now, then. Good luck. Wait a minute, little girl. Me? I remember now. You've been here before, haven't you? Have you, Iris? Yes, 2 years ago, when the detective came. You were with him, weren't you? You were a living specimen then, too. That's the way it usually works, yes. Was I? I really don't remember. Anyway, sorry, but I must dash. Wait, Iris? I'll brew up a pop for you when you get home. What's the matter with her? She's behaving really strangely all of a sudden. Well, in that case, we won't keep you any longer either. It's been quite a while since I had any visitors. This was really fun. But next time you'd come, I'd prefer if you were ready for dissection. I can't make any promises, sorry. It's a bit strange that the records of Clint Van Zyk's autopsy have disappeared. But I think we've asked all we came to ask now. I suppose let's investigate the crime scene some more. Crime scene, quote unquote. Police are still busily investigating in here then. But Gina's nowhere to be seen. Where is she? Yes, it has been blissfully quiet, hasn't it? Perhaps she's out investigating on her own, practicing what her boss taught her. Well, I expect she'll be back before too long. Shall we wait? Actually, there's something different about this room since the last time we were here, isn't there? We could always use the time to investigate more thoroughly. Oh yeah, because there's a little something something. That wasn't here last time. This little trunk wasn't here before, was it? Oh, it appears to be made of metal. Must be very heavy. I wonder to whom it belongs. There's some initials on the outside. Look! TG. Let's ask one of the policemen if they know how it came to be here. Oi! What you think you're doing? Hi, Gina. That's my trunk, that is. Hands off. Gina. Where were you hiding? I don't know. You leave something unattended for a few seconds and every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got his greedy eyes on it. Just a wild guess, Gina, but... What? Spit it out, Otto. Is it fair to say you've only owned that trunk since this morning's trial? What? What are you trying to say? Come on, this trunk goes with me everywhere. Always has. Where have you been the last year? Trying not to incur your wrath, mainly. The TG really feels like it stands for Tobias Gregson and not Gianna Lestrade. Your boss. You should hear them talking at the yard now. They should be ashamed of themselves. They're saying that it was the boss who killed all them bludgers. Ah, you mean the whole Reaper thing? Yeah. Apparently, the boss was investigating stuff that no one else at the yard knew nothing about. Stuff to do with all them criminals what got off scot-free. Yeah, the ones prosecuted by Lord Van Zykes who used bribery and corruption to evade conviction. And obviously, it was that bloomin' Reaper giving the orders, weren't it? But why would people be suspecting Inspector Gregson of being involved in the killings? There was a notebook hidden in his office. Oh no, this doesn't sound good. It had details about all the crimes that have been pegged as the Reaper's work. No. Did you see it, Gina? Did you see that notebook? They wouldn't flamin' let me, 'cause I'm just an apprentice, apparently. It was me who found it, and he was my boss. That's right. I was pretty miffed about it, so I sneaked a peek at what it said anyway. Oh, that's our Gina. Secret notebook. So you managed to see what was written in Gregson's secret notebook anyway, did you? Way I see it, it's my right to read what he wrote. And what had he written, Gina? Dates, times, places, names, whole long list of them. All details about the bludgers supposed to have been done in by the Reaper. Shock. But there could be an explanation for that. Perhaps it was a record of the inspector's investigations into the Reaper's activities. Exactly. That's what I said. That's the first thing you'd think, right? As it happens, it was full of names I recognized anyway. Well, the Reaper's targets were almost exclusively known leaders of London's criminal underworld. Well, yeah, but there was one name right at the end that was a bit odd. At the end of the list, you mean? I'm pretty sure the date against it was the 31st of October. Oh, the day before the inspector was found dead. So, what was the odd name? It weren't like a name I'd ever seen before. It was something like, Nah, it's no good. I can't remember it. I don't think it was an English name, put it that way. Oh dear. What a pity. It was something else, too. I don't know if it matters, but the same name kept coming up over and over. Shin, it was. Don't suppose it means anything, but she's dead. Did you say Shin? Eh? What? It does mean something? Lord Van Zykes knew the name too. He mentioned her as well. The woman who actually did the deeds. And now we find out her name appeared in Gregson's secret notebook. She's been dead for a while. Why would it appear on the 31st? That feels... We haven't seen you for a little while, have we, Gina? Well, of course not. I've been busy, ain't I? Investigating and all that. Lads at the yard are trying to trace the boss's movements the day before it happened. The day before, that would be the undercover investigation into the Red-Headed League, then. Only the boss didn't go, did he? Found some cub what was pretending to be him, didn't you, Otto? Yeah, it was Mr. Vigil who actually went to the park on Lime Street that day, posing as Gregson. Well, anyway, you ain't the only one turning stuff up. Got me own ways of getting results. It's Toby! When me and me partner here get together, there's nothing we can't track down. It's best boy Toby. Oh, little Toby, he's such a faithful friend. So, have you tracked anything down then? What do you think, eh? Of course we have. Can't tell you though. Police business, isn't it? Ugh. Anyway, the point is, if you lot ever need any help, you know who to turn to, right? Me and the Hellhound here. Right, because he looks oh so hellish. Honest. Gina, about your Hellhound there. So good boy. Chief Inspector Toby, you mean? He's the pride of the force, he is. In Japanese, police dog means something quite different, and not altogether nice to those involved in a crime. But here in Britain, it's a wonderful compliment, it seems. For a canine, at least. Should be. After all, in the great exhibition case the other day, it was Toby here who managed to locate Drebber's workshop. Maybe it's time for another demonstration of what this super dog can do, eh? Do we have something the Chief Inspector could catch the scent of, I wonder? Boop, 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 boop. Boop. Take that! Well, Chief Inspector Toby, if you wouldn't mind having a sniff of this. He might be a little too keen, don't you think? Adorable little guy. Ah! The Chief Inspector made short work of Gina there. Ah, look what he's gone to. My, that trunk clearly still has a very strong scent. Of Inspector Gregson. In other words, must have belonged to him. Like I thought with the TG on it, Tobias Gregson. Oh, alright. It's a fair cop, I suppose. And you nearly got away with it, too. You always talk so proudly of Chief Inspector Toby's nose and what it can achieve. Did it not cross your mind he might identified something that was right next to us? Yeah, that was a bit of a bloomer, weren't it? That's enough now then, Gina. Eh? I think it's time you told us the truth about that trunk. The trunk. Woohoo. It weren't like that. It just weren't. What are you talking about? I know what's going through that head of yours, but that ain't what happened. Alright then. What did happen? Well, like I said before, we were trying to trace the boss's movements. So I let Toby here have a whiff of the boss's overcoat. As soon as I done that, he went off like a shot. Straight to that sandwich. To a sandwich? Oh! The guy with the sandwich board. That is the guy with the... Okay, yeah. That guy. Mr. Naruhodo. I believe Gina means the witness. Oh, I forgot about that sandwich. Yeah, he had it hidden between them wooden boards of his, the boss's trunk. You mean when they hear the sound like a gunshot? When they heard the sound like a gunshot and all piled in here? Exactly! He nabbed it from the scene. Goodness. Me and the chief inspector gave that sandwich a good grilling, and you know what he said? I thought it might fetch a good price, and the chap won't be needing it anymore, so... Oh, Brain, don't do that. Gave him a good grilling, turned him into a panini. But that's all I did. Nothing more and nothing... Would you Adam and Eve the cheek of it, eh? Stealing the dead boss's stuff to flog. So Miss Venus wasn't the only one to meddle with the scene of the crime, then? How could they? So anyway, that's how it happened. Very probably. Like, gossip was called gossip because he sold gossip. And I don't know if the fireworks were named after Venus, or Venus was named after the fireworks, or Venus was called Venus because she's very pretty. I don't know the order of operations in Venus's name, but the sandwich board was probably why he was called Sandwich. Although now he should be called Panini because Gina grilled him. And it's a pretty decent trunk, so I figured I might as well make use of it. Is there something wrong with that, hey? Well, maybe you and Mr. Sandwich should try and find the answer to that question together. I think perhaps that trunk should be turned over to the police, don't you? What are you on about? I am the police. Gina, if you wouldn't mind, could we maybe examine it? Yeah, alright then. Do what you want with it. Thank you. We shall make a detailed record of our examination of the evidence. It's in the court record. Uh-oh. Toby's angry. Toby's a little angry guy. Why is he acting so aggressively towards me all of a sudden? Mr. Naruhodo, be careful. It must be the trunk. Oh, good gosh. Doggy jump scare. Toby! Oi! What are you doing? You're gonna lick his face off. Mr. Naruhodo! Mr. Naruhodo! Gina, quickly, hail a carriage. Alright. Hoi! Hello. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, are you alright? Miss Susato? Ah, conscious again at last. A blessed relief, my dear fellow. After all, to drop dead after a moderate licking by a small terrier. Most unseemly. What is or isn't seemly is irrelevant here, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so glad there's no lasting damage. How are you feeling? I'm fine, thank you. Did you bring me back here? Oh, what's this on my head? A bandage? Oh, because the dog knocked me onto the floor. Because he was very enthused? Aggressive? Sadly, we had no ice, so that's a compress of sugar water. Sugar water? Don't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. It's a first aid treatment that my father taught me. Oh, thank you. So, let us take tea when you're feeling up to it. But of course, no sugar in the patient's cup. The bump on my head is throbbing sweetly enough, don't worry. Whenever you feel ready, then. I want an achievement. Trust me. Hi, Gina. Gina, I'm really sorry. It's daft, isn't it? If you asked me a year ago, the cops could go hang for all I cared. But we gotta have police, ain't we? To catch the bludgers. So us divers can go about our business in peace. Oh, wait, sorry? I don't think I can have heard that properly. He said he was going to teach me everything I needed to know to be a detective. Yeah, I am using a walkthrough. I'm not, like, going beyond the current moment in the walkthrough. But it's like the tiniest little snippet of what's going on. Because, like, it's like, okay, I reached this point. Read. I want an achievement. But all he got around to is showing me where the best flamin' fish and chips shops are. Actually, that reminds me. Gregson said he was supposed to be going to Paris in the near future, didn't he? Is something wrong? Oh, no. I'm sure I'm reading too much into things. It's just that the timing seems very coincidental. You know, the boss was acting a bit strange recently. Like he was always in a rush. Said something about taking tea, so let's go take tea.
Mit dem Schwarzbiergebot brodelt wie ein Feuerberg, den Schlund es mir verbrannt, ach Hopfen deine Wut. Her mit dem Knacker ich befahl,
What on earth is going on in here? Am I having a bad dream? No, it's an old German folk song. Rather a fine rendition, I think. That is the least of my concerns. Iris? Oh, is she being sulky? Iris, what's the matter? Who is that sprawling, that relaxed gentleman over there? Wild guess. Is that your father, Susato? Iris, is she even listening? Excuse me, sir. I do apologize for troubling you whilst you're singing so merrily, but he's not singing, he's passed out. Would you be kind enough to explain the situation? That passed the fuck out. Well, that worked. A crooning gentleman and a mute young girl. A rather tantalizing juxtaposition. And one that appears to have incited the gods of deduction within me to find their voices too. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean? The strains of reasoning within me are playing now as a delightful duet. One melody sings of a reunion full of nostalgia, whilst the other is a morose theme about the great secret you're trying so desperately to conceal, Iris. She's turned as white as a sheet. So, as usual, you've instantly seen to the very heart of the matter. And by the time my own brief performance is over, I feel sure this gentleman's song will reach its finale. I'm fairly sure he's not singing. So then, to Music Land, where all is sweetness and delicacy and harmony. Pray, do enjoy Herlock Sholmes' latest logic and reasoning spectacular. The game is afoot! Firstly, we consider the gentleman's nationality. Clearly, he is a German with no grasp of the English language. As evidenced by the Germanic song he sings and his apparently inability to understand when asked to desist. So why is the man here at all and such apparently high spirits? I still say that's Professor Mikitoba, and it's not a German man. The answer, of course, Iris, is clearly known to you. Indeed, we need only follow the gaze of those bright young eyes to unravel that particular part of this mystery. The reason for the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the herbal tea. You obviously offered our German guest a cup of your latest herbal blend. The tea's delectable flavor has made the man's spirits soar and resulted in this joyful ditty tumbling incessantly from his lips. I eagerly await sampling the flavor myself, that I may join the fellow in his state of elation. Now, to the next question. Who exactly is this gentleman availing himself so thoroughly of the settee? I say it is Professor Mikitoba. As it happens, a number of years ago now, a certain gentleman of German origin engaged my services in solving a particularly delicate case. He required the retrieval of letters once sent to an acquaintance that might have proved problematic. In order to conceal his noble identity, he also arrived at my office in a mask. The gentleman's name was Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund von Ormstein, the King of Germany. If my memory serves, the mask worn by this gentleman is identical. Yes, there can be no question that mask belongs to the King of Germany. That's the mask that Cosimo was wearing until he got his memory back, though, right? It would appear that His Majesty remembers the fine service I afforded him, and has decided to show his face again, mask and all, in order to express his gratitude. A well-mannered monarch, indeed, wouldn't you agree, my dear fellow? So the identity of this masked visitor is in fact my former client, the King of Germany. Indeed, his son is currently in London as well, enjoying the wonders of the Great Exhibition. Oh, is that the kid who threw a tantrum until he got a balloon? Girls, silence. Which leaves us with one remaining imponderable. Yes, you, young Iris. But your apparently inexplicable silence is unable to hide the truth. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside the knapsack. A £5 note, I believe. I must say, as your compatriot, I'm deeply saddened. It would appear that you've allowed yourself to be bribed into silence by His Royal Highness, earning yourself some spending money in exchange for keeping quiet about the King's secret. And now, the final piece of the puzzle. What is this secret you strive to hide with your silence, Iris? Ah, yes, we need only follow that brief involuntary twitch of your eyes to find the answer. You were attempting to abscond with that coffee cup. My favorite coffee cup, in fact. Or should I say, the handle of my favorite coffee cup. It appears that His High-Spirited Highness broke it in the midst of his hijinks. Which leads us to the sad truth. My favorite coffee cup has been broken by the King of Germany, and Iris, you tried to conceal it from me. I shall have a bill sent via governmental channels to the German royal family for its replacement. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes's great deduction of this painful puzzle. Melodramatic bastard. With your silence as well, the fellow's jovial warbling rather rings in the ears, does it not? I don't think... Mr. Sholmes, I must say something does rather trouble me. Pray, Miss Susato, do tell. His Royal Highness doesn't appear to have moved a muscle since we arrived. Ah, and you haven't said a word either, Iris. If Mr. Sholmes has it all right, you might as well own up to it now. Oh, someone's sulking. Your reasoning isn't entirely without substance, I must admit. And one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. Yet another grievance, Mr. Naruhodo. Surely not. Surely yes, because I usually have a grievance with your deductions. Well, I actually read the story of that case recently, the one you were just describing, and according to that, at least, it wasn't the King of Germany. It was the King of Bohemia. A scandal in Bohemia. Goodness, was it? Yes, that's quite true. Master Gotz, the prince, testified to that in court. In his words, I have come to see the great exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. I would ask you to keep that minor arrow to yourselves. It could easily become quite a scandal. I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that it's our turn now to make some corrections to a number of minor errors that may have slipped in. Yep, even Mr. Sholmes is willing to admit he might be slightly wide of the mark this time. Although it's clear Iris is definitely hiding something. We need to find the truth behind this mysterious scene. But one truth is incontrovertible. My favorite coffee cup is no more. So, shall we embark again on a joint presentation of Herlock Sholmes's Logic and Reasoning Spectacular? Course correction! Why is he in such high spirits? The answer is known to Iris. It is not the herbal tea. Silly. So what, it's some mix of herbs that gives you the urge to sing? Goodness, I should like to try some. And I'd like to hear your singing, but this man... Just how long does he intend to keep up with that tune, do you suppose? As I said, he's been stock still the entire time, and if you look closely, his lips aren't moving either. Oh. So I'm not sure what's actually responsible for the spirited singing. It is not the man. But I suspect the answer lies at the end of Iris's gaze.
Take that!
For it is not the man, it is the machine. The reason for the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the gramophone. Indeed, for no well-bred gentleman would break into an obscure folk song when making a social Carl. In other words, this gentleman isn't singing at all. In fact, it would appear that the fellow is unconscious. The music seems to have stopped now. I ask you, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? Why would I have purchased a recording of that gibberish? How should I know? Oh, never mind. On with the deduction. Who exactly is this gentleman availing him so thoroughly of the settee? As it happens, a number of years ago now, certain gentlemen of German origin engaged my services in solving a particularly delicate case. It required the retrieval of letters once sent to acquaintance, blah blah blah. He wore the mask. It was Wilhelm von what the fuck? That mask belongs to the King of Germany. No. Although we've already established it was actually the King of Bohemia, it seems Mr. Sholmes intends to persist with his Germany theory for some reason. And to think of it, the young prince was wearing a mask as well, wasn't he? Master Gotz? The boy whom you had in tears? Don't remind me. Or anyone else. Do you suppose all members of the aristocracy of mainland Europe wear masks? I'm sure they do. Well, probably anyway. Point is, that mask doesn't belong to any king. No, that's right. As well we know. Because we can identify the true owner of this mask. Where is he? Where'd he go? I lost him. My brain. Ah! Panic. There you go. I knew the mask belonged to Kazuma because we kept it after he took it off in the courtroom when he got his memories back. Mask belongs to Kazuma Asogi. In other words, my memory is sublimely unreliable. Only you could make that sound positive. Kazuma's mask has been languishing on this metal chest for several days. That doesn't explain why the gentleman is wearing it now. But it is now a simple matter to determine our guest's true identity. After all, the gentleman is unconscious. We need only excuse ourselves in advance, gently lift the mask, and peer beneath it. Is my guess correct? It is! Wow. I don't believe it. He was invited. Huh. Father! I'm afraid, Mr. Sato, you must be... Nope, I think not, Mr. Sholmes. Then it would appear our logic and reasoning has once again revealed the truth. This mysterious visitor is my unconscious father, Eugene Mikotoba. Logic and reasoning, or just looking and saying? Young Iris. Whoa. Not the knapsack. So that's a 5-pound note peeking out from Iris's knapsack, is it? Oh dear, I can't be sure. Most money that we encounter is in coin form. I know, I'm not even sure if we've seen any banknotes here in Britain at all, have we? But anyway, Father would never have paid money for Iris's silence. He certainly seems like the silent type himself, though, judging by his present state.
Take that!
Reason for your muteness is concealed inside that metal chest. An excellent observation, for upon closer inspection, there's something different about the chest's appearance. It's kept locked at all times, yet now the catch is open. Evidently, this has something to do with your refusal to speak, Iris. I merely need open this chest. Here we go. No! Hurley, don't! So that's why Professor Mikotova's unconscious. Hurley! He's dead. Never. Oh, Hurley, I told you not to open it. Ah, so you found your voice now, Iris. Ah! In other words, what just happened clearly reveals the truth here. Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is... This is somewhat different to the usual dance of deduction you perform with Mr. Sholmes, isn't it? Yeah, it also explains the professor's position! Boom! Getting punched! Well, he's left me alone on the ballroom floor, so I'm going to have to dance this next part solo. And anyway, I need to get to the bottom of this for my own peace of mind. Now then, Iris isn't usually the silent type, so... You mean you don't actually know the answer yet? Despite that knowing point of the finger before. Miss Susato. Sometimes a man needs to point his finger first and think later. Ah, well. If you say so. I think we'd better examine Iris more closely and try to rescue the situation then. Boop. Boop.
Take that!
Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is that key behind your back. Ah! When Mr. Sholmes was thrown into the air before... Oh, she was holding it in her mouth! Just before you called out to try to stop him, you slipped something out of your mouth. That something is the key now in your hands. No doubt the key to the chest. You're so clever, Runo. So now it becomes clear, thanks to Mr. Sholmes' graphic demonstration. We can well imagine what happened here. But... Professor Mikotoba also opened that metal chest, only to be punched into the air. And land sprawled on the settee. Wait, that doesn't explain all the facts! What about the stylish scarf and the cup of tea? And above all, why would he be wearing Kazuma-sama's mask? Well, for those curious details, I can think of only one explanation. Clearly, an unbelievable miracle took place in this room. Isn't that right, Iris? Consider how the room was arranged before this whole painful experience took place. Exactly. 'Cause she had something in her mouth. When Professor Mikotoba opened the chest, completely unaware of what awaited him inside, the mask was flung into the air just as he was, only to land neatly on his face when it fell back down. The teacup's journey from the air ended when it caught on the unconscious professor's finger. And there were 2 cups on the thing, so one fell on the ground and went ksh. You mean to say the stylish scarf is the doily? It's a tablecloth. It looks more like a really big doily to me, honestly. This is the great detective's office, after all, a place of miraculous deductions. She's not used to being up here with me. Would you expect anything less? And that's why the second cup broke, was because it fell off. Yes, you're right. It happened exactly as you said. Brilliant, Runo! Thus concludes Ryunosuke Naruhodo's great deduction of this punchy puzzle. So then, why don't I make a fresh pot of tea for us all? Whoa!
Objection.
An admirable performance, Mr. Naruhodo. How often do you get knocked out to get back up that quickly? But in the final act of the show there, you rather missed everything of importance. Mr. Sholmes! If you would cast your mind back to my earlier deduction. Iris, clearly you're hiding a great secret. Ah! She is? From the look on her face, Mr. Sholmes must be right. Whatever that great secret is, the cat isn't out of the bag yet. So I put it to you again. You were attempting to abscond with that coffee cup! It really is a shame about Mr. Sholmes' cup. Fell off when the chest opened and the punching happened, I think. Must have been smashed when Professor Mikatoba opened the chest. Oh dear, so many things seem to have been broken here. Now the deduction has taken a different direction. Iris doesn't seem to be trying to hide the broken cup anymore. In other words, her great secret is something else. Let's put our observational skills to work here one final time.
Take that!
You were attempting to abscond with that case file! Iris, as you know very well, nothing escapes the attention of a great detective. Oh no. Boom! We visited Scotland Yard's autopsy laboratory earlier today, and Dr. Gorey informed us that the autopsy report of Clint Van Zykes had gone missing. Clint Van Zykes, yes, I do seem to recall. But some years ago I asked to see the report in question. You were with me, weren't you, Iris? Yeah, take your little 8-year-old assistant to a fucking morgue. It was said 2 years ago, so I'm 8-year-old, I'm guessing. You mean it was you, Iris? So those papers you have there are... I'm sorry. Forgive me! You nicked it, did ya? Elementary. In truth, I would like to have thought I could have predicted the booby-trapped chest. But it caught me completely off guard. I was very nearly late. The late consulting detective Herlock Sholmes. I'm sorry, Hurley. So you mean this autopsy report really is... Yes, I took it from the lab, even though I knew it was very important. Was there something in it that troubled you, Iris? Not exactly something that troubled me. Something I'd been looking for. When I saw this report, when I saw the writing in it, I knew it was Daddy's. The writing? Your father's writing. What do you really mean? Iris? Must be something that's hard for her to talk about. Forgive me for interrupting, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes? What is it? I feel as though the poor unconscious gentleman on the settee has been somewhat forgotten. Oh, Father! Perhaps we should find our guest somewhere more peaceful to rest. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? Would you be so kind as to lend him your bed? We must do our very best to make him comfortable, I feel. Oh, yeah, of course I'll help you carry him up. So will I. No, I can manage alone, thank you. You have tea to enjoy. We wouldn't want Iris's brew to stew. Alright, bye. Because there's no better way to make the professor comfortable than dragging him upstairs like a trunk. Oh, I can just hear the thunk, 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 thunk of like his shoes on every step. I wonder. Perhaps that was deliberate. Maybe Mr. Sholmes is making himself scarce to give Iris the chance to talk more freely. We must use this opportunity to talk with Iris and find out what's going on. Well, shall we chat? Would you like to tell us about it, Iris? About your father? I'm sure I told you before, didn't I? That Daddy used to be Hurley's partner. Yes, and the notes about all the cases they solved together are kept inside that metal chest. That's right. Hurley told me, you see. He said that Daddy's somewhere far away now, so we can't meet. It's one way of describing it. Then, when I secretly unlocked the chest and read through the papers inside, I started to build up a picture in my head of what Daddy must be like. Sorry, my pant legs are creeping up on me. Well, that's only natural. You're just like any other girl your age. I read that Daddy was a professor of medical science, so I studied and took my degree too. But, well, that's only natural, I suppose. In that respect, you're not quite like any other girl of your age, though. But there was one thing I could never find out. Daddy's name. Oh. His name wasn't anywhere on any of the notes he'd made about his work with Hurley. But then, one day... That's what happened, is it? When you saw this autopsy report, you finally managed to work it out. Is that right? Yeah. So it was the handwriting in the report that caught her eye. When I saw the writing on that report, I could hardly believe it. I know that handwriting, I thought to myself. Because it was the same as the writing you'd seen on your father's case notes. Exactly. I was desperate to compare the two properly. I needed to see them side by side. I asked the doctor in the laboratory, but I was told I couldn't take the report away. And even worse, I was told that was the first and last time we'd be allowed to even look at it there. So you decided to seal it. When I compared the autopsy report with the case notes I had here, there was no doubt. The handwriting was exactly the same. It was Daddy's. And the signature of the coroner at the bottom of the autopsy report read Dr. John H. Wilson. So that's how I finally found out. I learnt Daddy's name at last. I see. Ever since then, I've called myself Iris Wilson. And that's also when I had the brilliant idea of writing stories all about Daddy's exciting times with Hurley. I decided then and there that I'd write the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Oh, Iris, I had no idea the stories had quite such a deep personal significance for you. I can see why the autopsy report was so important to her now. And why she was prepared to break the law to get her hands on it. I must apologize, Iris. This is really all my fault. Hurley? I made a promise, you see, that until the time was right, I'd keep the details about your father a secret. I know, I've been very naughty. I'll take the autopsy report back to Dr. Gorey and apologize, I promise. Yes, we'll go together, I think. Then let me look after it for you until we get there. I want to look at it. 9 p.m. at midnight. Single stab wound to the heart. Other superficial external wounds indicative of a duel. Recent scarlet ink stains visible on the little and ring fingers of the right hand, but no document in corresponding ink was found. Autopsy. Vital evidence recovered from the victim's stomach during autopsy. Credit to Inspector Gregson for petitioning so doggedly for the autopsy procedure. No internal trauma noted anywhere in the body. I must go and water my herbs, I think. I'll see you all later. Poor Iris. She must be feeling awful. I know Mr. Sholmes is here for her, but still. Ah! What? How? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Sholmes? Mr. Sholmes? Oh, dear me. So, you've noticed, I see. But that would mean... What on earth's the matter, Miss Susato? You've turned white as a sheet. It's this autopsy report, Mr. Naruhodo. The one from 10 years ago. The writing isn't Dr. Wilson's at all. Huh? What do you mean? How could you possibly know that? Because I know this writing very well. This writing is my father's. That... Huh. Huh. I suppose the last two cases are a two-parter or something? Because this is the last part of episode 4. So episode 4 and 5 must be a two-part situation. Which I was not expecting. So... Professor Mikatoba's? Ah. Indeed, it's true. Like I said, I wasn't looking at that much of the walkthrough, I was just looking at the current part of where I am. And now you know, my dear fellows. No, I don't know anything. What on earth does all of this mean, Mr. Sholmes? Because the idea that's slowly forming in my mind is just too extraordinary to believe. Please, you have to explain. Explain. So this autopsy report was actually penned by Professor Mikatoba then? But that makes no sense. It's just not possible, surely. Not possible. My dear fellow, pray take a deep breath and think again. So you're right. In some ways, it actually makes a great deal of sense. It does? 10 years ago is when Father returned to Japan after his extended study tour in Britain. And prior to his return, where was Dr. Mikotoba engaged? Oh, of course. He was an assistant in Dr. Wilson's laboratory learning about forensic science. Professor Mikotoba probably couldn't have signed it because he was only an assistant. And as an assistant, he would have aided with the dissection work, making detailed notes. Oh yeah, because Dr. Wilson was probably elbows deep in a dead body, so Professor Mikotoba was probably, like, transcribing, like, Wilson's stuff, which would be assembled into the full autopsy report. Once the work was complete, the head coroner would check the contents and put his signature on the document. Mikotoba was transcribing as Wilson talked while he was elbows deep in a corpse, and then, when it was full and complete and done, he signed it. In other words, the only writing of Dr. Wilson's in the report would be the signature at the end. I see. So Iris got the wrong end of the stick, you mean? She saw that and assumed the whole report had been written by Dr. John H. Wilson. Which is very understandable, of course. What a complicated situation. Updated. Alright, your partner. So Professor Mikotoba helped you solve some mysteries. Thinking about it, most of what we know about you, Mr. Sholmes, comes from the published stories of your exploits. The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, written by Iris. And we really have no way of knowing what's fact and what's fiction. Most troubling for you, my dear fellow, I'm sure. So what about this supposed partner of yours? Did he really exist or not? Ah, you've come straight to the point, I see. And please come straight to the answer. I believe Iris explained it in one of her installments. He was a trusted comrade and the only person I could have truly called a friend. And this partner of yours truly make a record of all your cases? Are his notes really stored inside that metal chest? Absolutely, my dear madam. Absolutely. So, where's your partner now? We rarely meet. You see, he lives on the other side of the world. But if this autopsy report and the records of all your old cases were penned by the same hand, and if the autopsy report was written, though not signed, by your famous partner, there would be only one logical conclusion. Pray, impress me. Your partner would have to be Yujin Mikotoba. In other words, Miss Susato's father. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? You are coming along wonderfully. You've hit upon the method at last. You've finally grasped the art of deduction. You mean to say... Allow me to introduce you to my great friend and partner, Mikotoba. Does that mean Susato and Iris are half-sisters? I'm saying half-sisters because Susato's mom, presumably, I'm taking a wild guess because she was raised by her grandmother. Died in childbirth. This is a wild guess. So I'm saying half-sisters, because I don't think they're full sisters. Because, like, how would they be full sisters? Because I don't think Susato's mom went with her dad to London. Because that would have come up by now. And she was raised for, like, the first 6 years of her life by her grandmother. Professor Mikatoba? The hell? Does this mean that you're the real Dr. Wilson? No, my dear. I'm still my old self, Yujin Mikatoba, your father. Oh, of course. This is obviously too much for Susato-san to take in. I must say, though, how my old friend has attained worldwide celebrity as a great mystery solver is the greatest mystery of all. I still remember the first time we met. Pray remind me, when was it again, Mikatoba? 16 years ago, Shums. Yes, quite 16 years ago. Had just arrived from Japan with Seishiro and Genshin. It was in search of lodgings close to the hospital, some comfortable rooms at a reasonable price. But rents are devilishly high in that particular area. That's right, so I decided I needed someone to share lodgings and the expense. In, like, the introductions, when it's like the Shome story introductions, yeah. He doesn't look like the actual Dr. Wilson. In my opinion. And was fortunate enough to be introduced to Shomes, who found himself in a similar situation. I was a callow fellow back then, a mere shadow of the great detective you see before you now. I was working at the hospital's chemical laboratory at the time, indulging my curiosities for little gain. Like Watson, yeah. My brain auto-corrected that to Wilson, what the fuck? And the situation of our cohabitation led to us pursuing cases together, you see. Hard to believe it was a mere 6 years. We had a great many adventures. But in the last year of Mikatoba's stay in Britain, that most infamous of cases presented itself. The Hound of the Baskervilles! The case with which you've become rather familiar yourselves, the professor killings. After the trial, Seishiro and I were summoned back home. Hardly surprising given the circumstances. So there you have it. Does that mean I am connecting dots? I think I know things. I don't actually know things, though, I think. I think I know things, but I don't know if I think I know. I think I know things, but I don't know if I actually know things, you know? And as you know, all the details recorded by my trusty chronicler remain in that metal chest. This is just amazing. Professor Mikatoba really is Sholmes' famous partner. Father. Goodness, my dear, what a cutting look. As your daughter, I'm very proud to learn that you were the great detective's great partner. But nevertheless, there's another mystery that I really must ask you to explain now. And that is, You know very well what it is. The unresolved matter of Iris's father. Of course, I'd almost forgotten about that one. I should have seen this coming, I suppose. Iris told us that all the notes about the great detective's adventures are in that metal chest were written by her father. Isn't that correct, Mr. Sholmes? That is indeed what I told young Iris. But if you're Mr. Sholmes' partner, father, and you wrote all of those case notes, then Iris's father must be you. Upon my word, Miss Susato, you are coming along wonderfully as well. You too have hit upon the method at last. You've finally grasped the art of deduction. What you've always told me, father, is that my mother died when I was born 16 years ago. And that's what I assumed as well, which is why I said half-siblings. And you left me in grandmother's care whilst you embarked on your study tour of Britain. And I've always accepted that. But all this about Iris. Oh, there it is. Susato-san's ice-cold stare. No, now hold on a moment. It was very complicated. I mean, it's really not what you think. Then perhaps you'd like to explain exactly what it is? Now the eyes go to from ice cold to red hot just before she... No, really, you've got the wrong end of the stick. Sholmes, say something, man! That's quite enough, my fiery fellows. Mr. Sholmes? When did he get all dressed up? Whilst I don't like to interrupt this exciting exploration of the past, Mikotoba and I have an urgent matter that requires a short excursion. But it's very late, Mr. Sholmes. Where must you go? Why, my dear madam, is that not obvious? My partner and I must pursue our natural enemies. So, get your coat, Mikotoba. The game is afoot. But Sholmes, I really must give Susato a full explanation, I think. Later, my dear fellow, later. Our carriage awaits downstairs already. You haven't changed one iota, have you? I mean, really, I visit our home after 10 long years, and when I open that chest in a fit of nostalgia, I quite inexplicably pass out. And as if that wasn't enough, when I eventually regain consciousness, I'm plunged straight into all this. Father, please, go with Mr. Sholmes now. What? I've no doubt that whatever happened, you were acting in everyone's best interests. I trust you, completely. Susato. And sending the great detective and his great partner on renewed adventures together is more than I could have hoped for in my wildest dreams. Very well then, we'll speak again later. So, I believe your own work is done for the day? I wish you the best of luck for tomorrow. Yes, Naruhodo, good luck in battle, and in reaching a decision. A decision? About whether to go back to Japan, I suppose.
So much happened that day that I barely knew what to do with myself. It would only be later that I'd come to realize.
Ryunosuke's reading it out, so I don't have to, so neither.
How amidst the chaos I'd unleashed were all the clues I needed to finally unearth the truth. and that all the turmoil was necessary to give me the resolve to see everything through.
Ta-da! End of that chapter. Which I said I would get through today. I will save. And then the next time, the resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Which, the next time shall be not on Friday, because I am going out of town for the weekend, so I shan't be streaming on Friday. Maybe on Monday, I haven't decided yet. Who knows? I might pick up, the other game. I'm freaking Mystery Dungeon. I might pick up Mystery Dungeon. I might do something else entirely. Who knows? But I shall see everyone on Monday. Probably. Unless something happens and I need like a day of recovery from going out of town. Might be Monday, might be Wednesday. I don't know yet. Might be this, might be something else. I don't know yet. See everyone next time. Let's go with that.